Hi, my name is Jenny Lauren Dowden for Conduit News. Today we have attorney Greg Payne joining us in the studio. Greg is running for House District 13
in Bentonville.
In Bentonville. Hey, thanks for being here.
Oh, my pleasure.
This is your first time on Conduit regarding your House race. Just talk to us about that race, what that area looks like, who it involves, and why you decided to run.
Well, the race looks like, well, first of all, District 13 is South Bentonville from Highway 102, which is 14th Street in Bentonville, south, but it also takes part of Northwest Rogers, the Pinnacle Hills area, Promenade, and a little bit of Rogers north, which is west of or east of the highway. So yeah, it's 30,000 like everybody else. A lot of apartment complexes, some big residential areas that I've been walking in every weekend. There's some geographic area to cover.
Yeah. Well, why did you decide to run for office? You, of course, have been an attorney for many years. You've been involved in the legislative process as far as helping draft bills, that sort of thing. But why did you decide to run this time?
Well, as a practitioner, as an attorney, and I've been a practicing attorney for 24 years now. You use the law, right? And so, in the process of using the law, you get to pick up on what some flaws are in the law. Specifically, in the last couple of years, since 2020, right after COVID started, I was dealing on a day-to-day basis with some Arkansas legislators and trying to make some changes to the law because we saw some obvious abuses of the law that it empowered too much the executive branch at the expense of the legislative branch. So I got involved with Dan Sullivan and 16 other legislators, and to see what impact that we could have on changing the process whereby the governor could declare executive orders, and there needed to be definitely some changes because he just took over activities of Arkansas state government for about a year and a half. So the point being is that through all that process and through the everyday day-to-day practice, I can see some, or at least in my perception, where some shortcomings in Arkansas statutes, and that I can't do anything about as an attorney. All I can do is practice under the law. So when the legislative spot opened that included my home and my district, I saw an opportunity to actually go to Little Rock and change some of the laws and change some of the shortcomings that I perceive in existing law, and the only way to do that is as a legislator.
I've read that regarding the school districts and the public school system, school board members administrators are no longer listening to the parents, and that it's being said that legislation and lawsuits are what it's going to take to cause change. And you, in a way, are kind of combining both of those.
Yeah, well, that's my plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it is unfortunate that, and I think this is what leads to people's frustration, is they get no relief from anybody. I mean, they've got elected representatives, and bless their hearts, they're only there in a limited function, and a lot of them don't know what it takes to fight the system. The system, in this case, being the governor and his executive branch agencies. Well, I know what to do about that, and we've been doing that since 2020. So all you can do is file suit. So you're correct. That's what leads to another motivator for me to go to the legislature, because that shouldn't happen. How this wound up is parents have no remedy. I mean, they couldn't go to the governor. They couldn't go to the legislators because they're not in session, and the school boards were based on ARPA, American Rescue Plan Act, was giving them tons of money. Right. And they, for one reason or another, even though the superintendents are essentially contract employees of the school boards, the school boards follow what the direction given to them by the superintendents, who were signing the forms in order to get this ARPA money. So the tail was wagging the dog regarding school boards, and very few school boards. I mean, I think Gravitz one, Silent Springs I think is another. Other than that, most school boards in the state run state and mandated masks. Yeah. So unfortunately, without any other avenue, parents had to sue, and they had to get their checkbooks out to protect their constitutional rights. Maybe it looked like I benefited from that somewhat because I'm an attorney for hire, but we didn't charge much to do those, whereas the school boards have high powered and high hourly rate attorneys on call. Yeah. And they can defend these till the cows come home. Where parents, I've done a lot more work than what I've been paid for, simply because they don't have the funds, and they shouldn't. And my philosophical bent is that they shouldn't have to pay to protect their constitutional rights.
Let's talk about your race. The primary is coming up in May. There's 3 other Republicans running.
There are 3 other people running.
3 other. Well, I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that. You know, Conduit has written several articles about this. Of course, our scorecard and Follow the Money report that we just released, it will show you who the big players are, their special interests involved in some of these Republican races. Talk to us about that, why you believe that you are the candidate in this primary race who is a true conservative.
Well, let the record show what I've been up to the last couple of years. There's one person out there in the state of Arkansas that is protecting the rights of parents. And this is fundamental stuff. I mean, the U.S. Supreme Court, there's a case out by the U.S. Supreme Court is called the right to care and maintain your children is the oldest recognized fundamental liberty interest by the U.S. Supreme Court. That's all I'm doing. I mean, I'm just going to Supreme Court and reminding, judges or courts or 2 weeks ago, the Arkansas Supreme Court, that is a the longest standing fundamental liberty interest recognized by the U.S. Supreme Court. And you can't tread on that lightly.
Right.
And unless you have statutory authority to do what you're doing, you can't do it. Which is my my not so subtle opinion to the parents early on. So all I've been doing is following that instinctive desire to protect the constitutional rights of parents, which is legit. And the fact that no school boards or the governor or anybody working on his behalf, whether it's the Arkansas Department of Health, the Arkansas Department of Education, recognizes that. And it's incumbent upon me as a lawyer, as an officer of the court, as someone who has taken an oath to preserve, protect not only the Arkansas Constitution, but the U.S. Constitution, to remind them of that through briefings, through lawsuits, through arguments at the Supreme Court.
What would you say if you saw, and you very well, this may be the case, if you saw a Republican in this primary race and they are supported by the state chamber, they are supported by Governor Hutchinson, they are supported by big corps like Tyson, Walmart, and those involved, does that, send up a red flag for you?
Well, it does. I'm not going to do anything. It's not my nature to go negative on any of this stuff. Everybody's got to file the financial reports with the Secretary of State's office every month. That's all public record. People can go on and figure out who's who. And you can go. I'm not supported by any special interests. All my campaign donations are from individuals, and every one of them is. I mean, I have a few $500 donations, but by and large, most of them are in the $26, $50 range. I'm not supported by anything other than parents who believe that I'm the best candidate in this race to protect their constitutional rights, whether it's in a courtroom or the halls of the legislature in Little Rock. And I truly believe I am, or I wouldn't be doing this. I mean, if I thought one of these candidates was better suited to protect people than I am, I wouldn't be in this race. And I've been doing this. I announced back in November. Nobody else announced until February of this year. They're waiting for all the cards to play out. And I just kind of like what I've been doing in courtrooms. I just do what needs to be done. It was that time, and I had to protect people, and they came to me for protection. And so I have advocated, and I've been advocating for the rights of the people in the state of Arkansas on an individual basis since 2016, but in groups, in groups that need to be protected since mid 2020. So, where else you go for that kind of protection, I don't know. But I think I'm the only one in this race that has a sense of what needs to be done and what can possibly be done and what the potential for things that can be done in Little Rock.
Well, tell people how they can get involved with your campaign, give your website, social media.
Yeah, well, I've been handing out these.
Awesome.
See that? Those are my push cards. It's got my website on there. It's got my Facebook page on there. If you go to my Facebook page, my phone number's on there. I'm the most successful person. Well, I don't think in this race, in any race, If you want to get a hold of me, there's no problem getting a hold of me. I mean, I live in Bentonville. My address is on all my Secretary of State stuff.
Yeah.
Nobody yet's come by my house, but feel free. I mean,
Okay.
I'm accessible.
Well, anything else that you want to add before we go that we haven't covered?
I don't know, but you know, I'm there's no more diligent advocate for the people of the state of Arkansas, whether it's governor, any executive branch agencies, any legislator. I mean, there's some good legislators out there, and there's a bunch of them in Northwest Arkansas. But there's nobody that's had more impact on what's happening in the state of Arkansas in the last 2 years than I have. And not only it's just has been counsel for parents, but it's just been advocacy on you know, I'm just out there. I mean, Dan Sullivan came to me because we were simpatico on our ideas of what should happen regarding the rights of the parents or the rights of the businesses in the state of Arkansas. I mean, keep in mind, COVID shut down a lot of businesses.
Yeah.
And so what I did with filing suit against the governor and the Arkansas Department of Health was help reopen those businesses. So it's not just parents.
Yeah.
It's individuals, it's businesses in the state of Arkansas, and all that stems from little old me. I mean, I'm the only one. I'm the only attorney in the state of Arkansas doing this stuff.
Well, before we let you go, remember, Governor Hutchinson did not want to return those fines to those businesses. Is that something that should have happened?
That should have happened. And never should have happened in the first place.
Right.
And that's one of the things we need to look at, because the Arkansas Department of Health has had investigators on the street in several states, several cities in the state of Arkansas all at the same time. Arkansas Department of Health shouldn't be that big. They shouldn't have that kind of power.
Yeah.
You need to take that to the legislature, and yeah, that was ridiculous. I mean, it was as part of the governor's executive orders, they haven't come back. So yeah, I'm with Dan Sullivan on that. You know, Dan and I talk all the time, and yeah, they should absolutely return those fines, because it was silly, and there was no damages. I mean, well,
I know.
It's very frustrating when I can't do everything.
Well,
but you know, so but yeah, they should have returned those fines.
Yeah. Well, great insight. We really appreciate you coming on the Conduit today. Keep us posted, and good luck with your race.
Thanks.